you know. Children of the Niger Delta are the most vulnerable to climate change in the region. Not because we want to, but we were forced to. Even before exploring what life felt like, hydrocarbons were already found in our systems. Persian heat waves had affected many of us, subjecting us to scars and painful medications. Even my sister fell victim. It was a period of severe heat waves here in Rivers State. It became a major topic of discussion on radio, TV stations, and lots more. And lots of children, not just my sister, suffered. Their skin red, lots of rashes, and the usual powder couldn't cure it. That's not all. There's food scarcity, there's malnutrition, and learning environments are being disrupted every single day due to floods and severe temperatures. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not quoting the impact as science has said. I'm telling you a daily reality faced by many of us. Each day, we are seen as weak, vulnerable, and all sorts of words to describe one who demands sympathy. It is true that we are indeed vulnerable, but vulnerability does not mean weakness. Sometimes it's a door for new ideas, opportunities, and powerful solutions, despite one's age, background, or personal state. So it's a massive war here in the Niger Delta. The clock is ticking. Many organizations are working towards clean energy and greener revolutions. Advocates, leaders, professionals, everyone is fixing the broken pieces. Solutions are being crafted and approved. But when a 10-year-old from a Niger Delta marginalized community presents his ideas to the council, he's met with praise. They say he's intelligent, he's smart, he's one of a kind, he's more capable than his peers. But his idea, his solution is dismissed, termed as inexperienced, and then a thumbs up for trying. This affects him and many other children, believing that climate change, UN SDGs, the whole environmental concern is meant only for adults. This is one of the many problems that intersect between a child and the environmental concerns and the whole climate movement. At least the previous state was better. The child had an idea to present. But in some cases, we do not even involve children at all, and they lack a sense of environmental stewardship. This leads to climate illiteracy. During one of my advocacy journeys, I met a child, as usual, preaching the climate gospel, but this time with a focus on plastic pollution. And the child told me that if all the fishes die, we have cows to eat. This statement surprised me, and it proved the destructive reality ahead. So whether it's converting to renewable energy, reducing our carbon footprint, developing crazy new emerging technologies that can solve problems of deforestation, waste management, we are just mitigating the problems today, not actually creating an idea of a sustainable future, long-lasting solutions. We cannot afford to overlook the next generation in repeating the mistakes of the past in the future, rendering all efforts made now useless. So when TEDx Countdown said the next now, meaning the next solutions are needed now, I thought to myself, they necessarily didn't say who and where it's going to come from. So why see the children of the Niger Delta as just vulnerable? Why not see us as the next key to revolutionizing the climate movement? Who said a 7-year-old can't break environmental concepts? Who said a 13-year-old can't found an environmental justice organization? Who said a 10-year-old can't analyze eco-fictions or eco-data? I stand before you today to tell you that a child as young as 6 has what it takes to be part of the solution today and sustain it in many years to come. I have seen a lot of children who are willing to set up clubs, partake in incubator labs, and join the climate movement. And there is something unique about children, and this has to do with the philosophy of why. I read a really interesting book titled Sophie's World. A really, really interesting book that made me deeply engaged in the field of philosophy. From Socrates to Aristotle to Alexandra to the whole Greece period. It was very interesting. But something struck me in that book. And that was when it mentioned children ask a lot of questions. Children are innate thinkers. They are curious and not too used to the world. Therefore, they offer fresh perspectives and look at problems from a different lens. As said, children ask a lot of questions. And if you listen closely, these questions are able to make us identify problems that seemed part of society or gradually became normal. And so if a child asks a question about human activities and the environment, there's a potential that that question can be holding the next now. If the quest for knowledge isn't dismissed, that question like, why is the air black? Or why is the river polluted? Becomes a why can't we question? Why can't we do it this way? Why can't we do it that way? Why? A whole lot of whys. And if you allow this child, they go to create an idea from a why can't we question. For example, a young girl who goes to the Niger Delta community exploring the river, she discovers oil pollution, plastic pollution, the river is dirty. She asks, why can't we clean the river like our mother cleans our home? This question may seem explorative. It may seem inexperienced, but it's powerful and enough to drive motivation. She goes back to create an innovative, low-cost, easy-to-handle filtration system. This all began from a why can't we question. Children are risk takers. They are explorers, innovators in their own way. And so when many of us were younger, we had dreams of building free hospitals, free treatments, free solutions to problems that existed at that time. And this is because the heart of a child truly cares. We need this innocent mindset in the climate movement, as these attributes lay a strong foundation for looking for the next now. As children have what it takes to contribute to the climate movement. And John F. Kennedy, he testified to this when he said, children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for its future. So why not give us a space to lead? a space to be part of the climate movement and see us as not just vulnerable, but see us as the next big ideas. Now you're probably asking, okay, I'll give children the space, I'll give children the platform, but how do we find the next now in them? And so this is where I need everyone to participate. If you're with a pen and a book, you can write the acronym CHILDREN. Just write CHILDREN down. And I'll need you guys to help me to remember each of the letters. Are we ready? Are we ready? Okay. So what's the first letter? C. C stands for creative learning through play and artivism. Just like the Montessori curriculum, there's something unique about play. You can use it to educate the younger ones. Back then in primary school, our teacher would bring a lot of counters, a lot of dominoes, a lot of figures and all that, like clay, to help us learn about a particular thing. So imagine using that kind of fun, interactive way to teach a child about climate education, or to teach the child about the SDG goals, or teach the child about deforestation and all that affects the environment. This is a fun way of making them interested in the field of climate change, instead of just writing a whole bunch of facts, statistics, and a lot of UN reports. And the other is artivism. The term artivism is a word used to describe the combination of art and the goals of advocacy or activism. Therefore, we're using art to raise awareness. We're using art to make them more engaged. So this art can be in form of different ways, whether it's games, animations, graphics. It has something that evokes emotion and makes everyone engaged. Allows the child to understand the whole climate movement from a different perspective. So the first letter of the children acronym is creative learning through play and artivism. Please, what's the next letter? H. And here's the fun part. H stands for hands-on nature-based activities. It is true that climate change is taught in schools as a topic, but it always stays in the classrooms. And children treat this matter as a read and write exam situation. They understand what climate change is, they understand how to solve it, and they only go back to read it, to recreate it in the exam to get an A. And this is not what we want. Through excursions, through field trips, through scenarios that help them connect to their environment, we instill a sense of environmental stewardship in them, allowing them to see the essence of the whole climate movement and why they should be part of it. If the child who said, "If all the fishes die, have cows to eat," had a sense of environmental stewardship, he would understand the role that every organism plays in the ecosystem. And we want many children to know that too. And the next letter is I. I is, we've seen a lot of subjects. In field of social sciences, you see climate change, you see environmental degradation. In civic, you see green governance. In science, you see climate science. Geography, they show you how climate change affects different regions. It makes you realize that every subject, every discipline, climate change relates to it. So I stands for Integrated Environmental Education. By integrating environmental education to other disciplines, we allow children have interdisciplinary knowledge, allowing them to understand that climate change affects every area. So if they're interested in science, they can also be interested in climate change. If their favorite subject is geography, we show them that environmental knowledge is important. This is another powerful way of allowing children to explore their passions, explore their knowledge, and allow them to contribute to the climate movement. Please, what's the next letter? L. This is the area my work revolves around. L stands for leveraging technology. We live in a tech-savvy era. A lot of children have access to phones, televisions, laptops, desktops, and all of that. And most times, they are watching cartoons or playing games. So why not hack into that system? I believe that if children can learn to love from Disney, they can learn to be superheroes from Marvel. Why can't they learn to be eco-champions from the animations or games they play? Animations are powerful tools. But when I'm saying create animated content that talks about climate change, I don't mean a normal type of animated content whereby a figure comes in and says, what is climate change? What is this? This is how many people die of climate change. No, that's going to be very, very boring. And these children would just leave it, as many children would say that they don't want to watch educational content. But if you watch animated series or movies like Moana didn't say protect your environment. Moana didn't say love the oceans. But anyone that watches Moana feels a deep connection to the ocean. This is what we call eco-fictions. We want more of eco-fictions that tell eco stories in a very fun and creative way. And then as for games, I remember a period in JS3, I wanted to create a volcano, but I didn't have the whole clay and the whole of all those things. I didn't have vinegar and to make the explosions. So what I did was downloading an app. The game allowed me to build things on it. And it made me to think, if we have online science labs for kids, why don't we have environmental labs? These environmental labs that act as games are able to allow children to build innovative solutions. And then, a possibility of them replicating it in real life. This shows how powerful animations and gamifications of eco-knowledge is important and how it helps children to find the next now. And so what's the next letter? Sorry? Okay. Developing multi-generational teams. Now we're looking for the next now in children. This doesn't mean only children involved in climate matters. We need the vibrancy of young people, the explorative nature of young people, but we need the knowledge of the elders, their guidance, and making sure that we are fostering collaboration despite age. And this reminds me of the UN SDG Goal 17, which is Partnership for the Goals, indicating that no matter your background, your personal states, and even your age, everyone has a role to play. So by developing multi-generational teams, We are encouraging children, at the same time making sure that everyone has a role to play. And the next letter is R. R is for recognizing children as co-decision makers. Have you ever seen an architect design a building without consulting its owner? Well, if not, then here you have it. This is what is happening to climate solutions in the Niger Delta. Each day, we are designing innovations, we are conducting researches, we are hosting conferences, we are helping indigenous communities, finding ways to improve the environment, and a lot of things. But children who live with this problem every single day are not involved. We are not recognized or seen as co-decision makers, either because we are too inexperienced, we are explorative, or we are vulnerable. But from teaching us to allowing us build projects, to giving us a space and a platform, we want everyone to recognize us as not just vulnerable, but see potentials in us, as it's very important. And so what's the next letter? Sorry? Okay. E stands for encouraging children to use their passions for climate change and advocacy. Many children may find the whole climate discussions boring, but this is because we treat it as something that cannot be personalized. If a child is interested in dancing, we can teach the child to use it to raise awareness. If a child is interested in poetry, we can use it to make the child see that climate change can spark emotions and can be used for poems. Now, if a child wants to be a CEO, the child is interested in things that are money related and feels like climate action is just not given for the child, you can introduce the child to the field of social entrepreneurship. We have green businesses. In this way, you're being a CEO as the child wants and contributing to the climate movement. This is a very fun and impactful way of allowing a child to use their passions for the climate movement. Finally, what's the next letter? What's the next letter? N. This is the most important one because we've taught children from learning through art, through play. We've taught them, we've recognized them as co-decision makers, but we need to nurture them as future leaders. This is because when we're developing those emerging technologies, we're developing those climate solutions, those green innovations, we're going to hand it over like a treasure to the children to carry it along in the future. But what if these leaders, the future leaders, aren't able to sustain it in years to come? Therefore, right from now, we are supposed to allow them to be part of the solution today and sustain it in many years to come. This, you see here, is the children model, a very effective way of finding the next now in them. Whether they find climate movement boring, or they find it interesting, or they have an idea to share, using the children model is an effective way. Thank you so much for your participation. Please give yourselves a round of applause. So, in conclusion, because of the philosophy of why, because of children's explorative nature, and by using the children model, we were able to find the next now in them. So don't just see us as vulnerable. Don't just see us as not capable to creating a change. Don't just see us as case studies for researchers. See us as potential solutions, as the next now can be found in a 7-year-old from a Niger Delta marginalized community. And before I leave the stage, I would like everyone to say Gen Alpha can still make a change on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. One more time, please. Thank you, and remember to involve us.